What we have here are 3 RC Indy cars. These cars were manufactured by a man named John Ray back in the 90s. His company was Rayco. He ran, I think the run of these cars was about 75 or so before the company was shuttered. These particular cars, let me do something real quick here, put a can here for perspective. One of my favorite beverages. You can see how big these are. They are quarter scale. These particular models I purchased from the estate. Or so as kit form, much cheaper than the Corvette. More on that later. So what I want to talk about today, this is a couple elements, and then I want to talk about this particular car here that I'm building. These cars, this was one of the final iterations of them. This was a gold. When I run this car, I'll be taking those off, putting stock wheels on. And yes, this car is set up to run. When I bought these, I bought them, like I said, Chuck had set these up to run. He had a shelf queen, but his shelf queen was a runner too. And he was an Indy guy. Actually worked in the pit crew before his passing. So anyway, he liked to run his cars. And what I want to talk about real quickly is, if you'll look at this setup, you'll see this gearbox. Rayco was pretty slick in the way they did this, I think. There's a plastic gearbox here, and they hung all the suspension bits off of it. See the A-arms, the shocks, and all that. Attached to this rear plate, sandwiched between the rear cap and the box itself, and these little ears here, there we go, that you attach the front of the A-arms to. You see the dog bones and shocks in there. And same thing with this Rick Mears car. This is a standard car. This one's a little different, obviously. It was signed by Rick Mears. And again, Chuck, it's a neat car for Chuck. He ran it as well. The biggest difference here in this setup is that the gearbox is made by a company called PBS, and it's metal. But other than that, the setup is the exact same as this one in terms of the A-arms and those ears in that back plate. And that's where these cars differ. This car I'm building here, again, one of the several cars that came with the lot. This car is, Chuck was emulating the very earliest Rayco car. It was kind of a test vehicle that was built by the man who eventually, I think they went on to do this car here, the PBS car. But he built this thing and set it up as a runner, a racer. And this was the configuration. This car has an air dam that is that articulates, right? You can see that. And this gets cleaned up, but that's just pretty slick. It has, of course, a dual support here for the wing there. There's that air dam for the wing there. And you'll also notice that it has sway bars, right? A nice setup there, the rear. And the biggest difference, I mean, the same plate and all, but they just incorporated, in order to get this sway bar to work, they put different ears on it, right? And I'll show you that here. So in the other cars, the ear is kind of similar, but it doesn't come out as far. As a matter of fact, the ear comes up and cuts off right here. So there's no room to put the shock out here. The shock actually rests on the arm itself. But in this configuration, the Heim joint is hung off this top of the A-arm and connects to the bar here for the stabilizer. And it's pretty slick. Another thing that Chuck did, and he did a couple of these, and made some parts made up to make these cars this way, because like I said, he was a real race car guy. He worked in the pits, and so he appreciated the Indy cars. He also changed the springs on these cars. And these cars here, they have the original springs. But some of these cars, Chuck went and put springs that really offered a really nice amount of articulation for more subtle control in what you're doing with your car. And also, this car that was initially the first one that was actually designed and raced when this thing was developed had a little different setup in the terms of the front airfoil as well. The wing up front was a little different. And this for me is just really slick. I also enjoy these foam tires, right? There's nothing wrong with these. These are great tires. These foam tires that came stock on these cars, they work well. Of course, the PMTs are just for looks because I'm never going to run them. It just looked too cool. But these foam tires here, I love the look, and I'm looking forward to finishing this build. I am offering 10 of these in full kit form. It'll have offer the engine and everything except the electronics. You know, it'll have, for those that want wheels and tires, you don't necessarily have to have wheels and tires. Some people have their own, or you can get them online elsewhere. The ones I have are kind of for show. They're, but I have some functional ones as well. So I mean, for people that are interested and they contact me, I can tell them what this is all about if they want one. But these are really slick cars. I'm really happy to have them, and I want to make sure I put a quick video together to explain a little bit about them. And actually, I'll be putting another video together to explain more about these RC Indy cars. Like I said, there aren't a lot of them out there, and when you see one, it's just a really nice treat to see and to admire and check out how they put this thing together. And again, there'll be a few parts out there very shortly, so folks can actually run these again and have some fun. Hope you enjoyed it. Take care.